I can't quite believe that today is our 150th episode of the Ladysmith Manor Diaries. So much has changed since we picked up the keys for the very first time back in July 2019, and we have so many more changes to come, especially in 2023. And the big event for 2023 is the opening of our Thirsty Whippet Pub. And so this week we have continued work on the pub, and we've been working on the bar, and we've made a few changes or added a few pieces that have made a big difference. So I can't wait to show you what that is. And don't forget, if you're enjoying our videos, whether you started with us at number 1 and you've been watching us for all 150, or you've joined us recently, make sure that you hit the subscribe button on our Ladysmith Manor YouTube channel to ensure that you're the very first to see our videos when we put them out. But first, let me show you what we've been up to this week. Today we're starting work on the first piece of countertop that will go into the pub. And we've chosen a butcher block for the back piece, and each piece is being specifically cut so it fits into the window. Stephen has now finished cutting these countertops that are going to go in the bar. So my next job is to get them all stained. And we're using a English chestnut stain, which is actually one that we use in the dining room on the floor. I think it will be the perfect colour for the pub. So I'm going to get both of these stained, ready to go to be fitted, and then we'll get top coat on it. With 2 coats of stain now finished, it's time to see how they now look on the bar at the back of the pub. The butcher block countertop looks fantastic against this wall. The question is though, is this stain too light? While we're thinking about the stain colour, we've moved on to putting up the wood that is going to make this piece look like a wood beam across the pub. So with the beam wood now up, all we've got to do is decide on a stain colour. One thing I've learned the hard way over the years is to always mix your stain really, really well. And when you think you've mixed it again. So I always stand here and shake it and mix it. And then I use a stir stick and I mix around the bottom as well, because I don't know whether you've ever used stain before, but you find that the stain all drops to the bottom. And if you don't mix it right to the base of the can, you can often get you get a lighter colour than the actual true colour that you're trying to get. So it's a bit of a process, but it's definitely worth it. So after seeing the English chestnut on this countertop, I'm not sure it's a little bit too light. And the one thing I find with stain, I don't know about you, but it's really hard to tell the colours from the swatches or online or even on the paper swatches that they give you. You really have to test it. So I decided to pick up a dark walnut, which is going to be a darker colour, but it's also going to be more brown. So I'm just using a piece that Stephen cut off our countertops when he cut them for the bar top, and I'm going to try this dark stain and see what happens. It's just a test. To see whether I like it, whether it's too dark, or whether this is going to be the combination, or this is going to be the stain that actually will work best. What makes stains so interesting to me is how it can look so different on different woods. So I've put it onto this, the butcher block, and this butcher block has definitely had a pre-treatment ready for stains. So it doesn't absorb into the wood in the same way, because you can see this is one coat of the dark walnut on the countertop, the butcher block, and this is exactly the same stain that I stained, just an offcut that Stephen's cut off, the wood that we're going to be using on the beam on the ceiling in the pub. And just look how much darker it is. So I'm thinking of using this darker walnut for the piece of wood above on the ceiling or on the wall on the top in the bar here. And obviously with it going onto the pine, it has a much darker finish, which I think will work really well. I really wanted the beam at the top to look like an old dark piece of wood. So I think that's gonna work well. And like I say, as you can see, it's browner than my English chestnut. I really wanted it to have a deeper color, so maybe I need to put a few more coats on, which is one solution. The big question is, do I stick with my chestnut base and stick with that kind of reddish color for this countertop, or do I put on this dark walnut and add a little bit more brown to it? So you can see the difference between the chestnut and the walnut. What's your thoughts? Do you think this countertop, butcher block countertop at the back of the bar should be the English chestnut, or do you think it should be the darker walnut? I would love to hear your thoughts. I can't quite decide at the moment. I keep going backwards and forwards in my decision, so I would love your help. So let me know in the comments what you think, whether it's the English chestnut or the darker walnut. And then I will then decide whether maybe I add some of the darker walnut on and kind of then it would be a mix, or whether perhaps I do another coat of the English chestnut and keep it more in that reddish color. Either way, it's gonna look fantastic. It's just I find stain very, very challenging because it never comes out exactly as you expect. Case in point with my two pieces of wood. So this I think is gonna be perfect for the beam at the top in the darker. It's just the decision about the counter, so help me out and let me know what you think. So we're actually going to be using 3 different materials for our countertops on the bar. We wanted to bring in as much of the history of the manor, which is why we're going to be using our oak from the old oak tree that we cut down in the front of the manor, and this is going to be on the top piece of the bar at the front. So that's where we'll be, you'll get your drinks from when you come to the Thirsty Whippet Pub, and that's going to be stained in the same colour as our butcher block that we've just put in behind the bar. So this butcher block, once we've decided finally on our stain colour, this oak will be stained and that will be on the bar top at the front. And then the actual bar countertop that we'll be using, which is kind of normal countertops height around the bar where we'll have our coffee machine and we'll be mixing drinks, we're actually going to be putting in granite for that because we want it to be nice and waterproof. We don't want any damage, and that will give us a nice counter that we can be working on. So our first one is in with our butcher block. Our oak will be next. And then as we continue to build the bar, the granite will go in probably last, and it will all take shape. But it's very, very exciting to see the first piece now in, and it really gives you an idea of what it's going to feel like here. I decided to put our picture up on the shelf, even though I've not quite finished painting it. I wanted to get just a little bit of an idea of how it's going to feel and look when I start putting things up on the shelves, and I've got to say I am very pleased. I think it's going to work really, really well. So have you got your tickets for our very first Music at the Manor event? Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to use our beautiful square grand piano. If only it was tuned, but as you can hear, does not sound too good. It looks great, doesn't sound too good. So we're not going to be using our piano, but we've got 3 amazingly talented musicians coming with their violins and viola. We're going to have a fabulous evening where they will take us into the world of live classical music, and I cannot wait. It's going to be kind of the perfect music to be played here at the Manor, surrounded by the history and the character. And we do have some tickets left. We're about 75% completely sold out, but we have some tickets, a few tickets left. So if you have not got yours, we would love to welcome you to the Manor and to see you here. So make sure that you head over to our website, click on the link below that I will put in to reserve your seat for our very first Music at the Manor event. And we will be having lots more music events here. We're going to do all types of music under the Music at the Manor headline, but our very first one is classical music, and I cannot wait. It's going to be such a great evening. And we've got so many other things. We've got our Mother's Day teas, we've got our afternoon teas. So stay tuned, because there's going to be lots more events being released as we go through this year. And we also have a few more spaces left at our Intimately Yours wedding package experience. That's going to be on the 12th of August this year. So if you're looking, or you know someone who's looking to get married and is looking for a stress-free, all-inclusive, fabulous wedding package without the big expense of a traditional wedding, then again, I'll put the link in below. You can check it out and forward it on to anyone you might know who might be interested, because it's, again, we are going to be creating something very, very special here at the Manor for that day, and we would love to share it with you or someone that you know. So I guess I better get back to work, because we've got lots to do. So I'm going to get back to work. I look forward to seeing you next week back here for our 151st episode of the Ladysmith Manor Diaries.